And so you brought up FST, which is something I just learned about today.
Yes, the good old FST. It stands for Fascial Stretch Therapy. And there's practitioners all over the country, actually all over the world, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And under our roof, I think we have we're up there as far as the amount of practitioners we have under one roof, at least, one of the top 3 in the world, as far as the quantity and the levels of training that we've had.
Yeah.
So fascial stretch therapy, it's a great modality that we learn. So I originally found it because I was looking for ways to stretch my clients, mostly my runners, because I would stretch them out and they would feel loose for like 17 seconds, and then they'd sneeze and I felt like everything was right back tightened up again. And I did the traditional stretching that was taught in school. I think that's pretty common out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, it didn't last very long. If it lasted maybe that day, but when they woke up out of bed the next day, there's no way they still felt the benefits. And it was frustrating. And so as I kept on looking for better ways for flexibility and increased range of motion, I came across spatial stretch therapy from a friend that was in Arizona. And that's where it really was born and where it was created. And as I did more research on it, I spent about 1.5 years looking into it. And at the time, YouTube wasn't that big of a deal and nothing was on there. And so I didn't really know what it was, but I talked to some practitioners and I asked them, and they said it was great for the runners, for their endurance athletes. It just freed them up. And if a runner has ever said that, oh, they feel like they're running on a cloud and it feels light when they're done, and they felt great, that's what they say every time they get off the table. And I go, really? I go, every runner wants that. You just feel like you're just running on air, and your body's absorbing and moving smooth and your legs feel light and you're just feel like you're just flying. And it's a great feeling for every runner, right? So all right, I got to do this. So I went and got training, got certified. And it just blew my mind away. I had never seen anything like it, to the point where I felt like a fish out of water. I mean, at this time, I had worked with the human body for 13 years. And I'm like, all right, I kind of came in maybe a little bit arrogant, thinking, it's stretching, I can do this. It blew my whole mentality and my mind, and I felt like I didn't know how to touch the human body anymore. And so I practiced and I got better with it. And next thing I know, I came back and I had a specific runner, and I worked with her, and she was a marathoner. And we had been working with a specific issue with their hip. And I came back and I stretched out the first day I came back on a Monday. And she's like, wow, my legs feel really different. And she was she moved pretty well. She had some pretty fast times. And she texted me later on that day and said, this is the first time in I don't know how long that my lungs were the ones that were keeping me back. Usually it's my legs that slow me down. And she goes, I actually felt my lungs working hard. My legs just kept on going. She goes, I haven't felt that since I started running. And it really ignited a fire for the running, the passion for running with that. And that ignited a big passion back with me and how to do it. So it's a lot of fun. So now to make a long story even longer, FST is fascial stretch therapy, and it really focuses on the fascia, which is all the connective tissue in the body, and not just the muscles, which is what typical stretching does. Right? So fascia is, if you've ever worked with raw chicken, there's that thin film that's kind of on raw meat and chicken. Really thin, really sensitive. Well, that's fascia. All right. It is the most abundant connective tissue in the human body. It's been compared to, marine biologists study the fish and the octopus and the whales and the sharks, but they don't really look at the water, as often. It's never heard about because it's not the sexy part of it. Fascia is kind of like the water. Everybody looks at the muscle, but they don't look at the fascia that's containing all the muscle. And they say your body's made of one muscle and 206 bags of fascia. So that's a unique way of looking at it. And so with that fascia, it encases everything: organs, muscles, nerves, veins. And so it affects quite a bit. And so when we stretch it and move it, it almost gives the muscles more room to work and move. So I guess the best way to feel before and after a session, if you were to put on a really thick wetsuit and go try to run 10 miles with it, it'd be exhausting. You have resistance everywhere you go. Well, that's kind of how everybody feels when your fascia is tight. And then all of a sudden you take off that wetsuit and then you go for a run. You feel like you're just light as can be and you're so free. It goes, that's what it feels like after an FST session. That your joints can move, everything feels more neutral. And like I said earlier, I've always kind of studied running gait mechanics and assessed it. Nothing has changed running mechanics and the gaits faster than 20 minutes of FST. And all of a sudden you reassess the running gait. It totally changes. The foot line's a lot more neutral. Things are more straight back and forth. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. If your feet are not moving in straight line, your body's not efficient. But when everything is loose and nothing's pulling it, your feet move straight, your body moves much more efficient. There's less torque on the knees and the hips, and it moves much happier.